Tab S8 Ultra, a device I had been waiting for, and one that I was always hoping existed, only because of the fact that I really wanted a bigger display than what I had with my Tab S7 Plus. And I will say that I have had this device here for 42 days, and I think that's enough to make some judgments, some opinions, some thoughts, and that's exactly what I'm here to share with you all today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my Tab S8 Ultra 42 days later and counting. Okay, so before I get to the first point, I know I probably didn't sound very enthusiastic, and let me just say that I am. I don't want to set the tone of the video that way. But with that being said, the first thing I want to say about this device is that I really love the size of it. While it's not the most innovative or even the most different thing out there, it's something that I truly appreciate because of what it allows me to accomplish in comparison to a smaller display. The smaller display I'm talking about would be the Tab S7 Plus, because that's the tablet I owned before this one. And when I say smaller, I don't mean like tiny, but overall, when you're doing a lot of work on a tablet or some media consumption, you know, a 12.4 or a 12-inch screen is just not going to cut it for some people. I'm one of those odd people, and I'm fine with being that. Now, I think I said this before, but I do remember when the iPad Pro 12.9 came out, and once I saw the size of that display, I'll admit I got a little jealous that Samsung and most other manufacturers out there didn't offer a device with the kind of portability, the weight class, and the display size that that device did. Now, Samsung is notorious for making things bigger. It hasn't always translated well, but I will definitely say that the size of this device is just perfect. I will probably be contradicting that thought if they come up with like a 15.6, but for right now, yes, it is perfect. So yes, I definitely like the size of this tablet. And like I said, it's not the most exciting upgrade ever, but it's one of those subtle things that's enough to be significant depending on what you're doing. The next thing that stands out to me is the build quality of this device. And what I mean by that is that this armor aluminum frame here is just, it's really something. It's subtle, but it makes a difference in how the tablet feels. And one of the first thoughts I did get in my head when I saw this tablet, when I heard it was going to be 14.6 inches, is, you know, potential DIY skateboard. Like I can put 4 wheels here and basically skateboard on the darn thing. No, I'm kidding. But my actual thought was, just how durable can something like this be? And, you know, it's a thin and light tablet, but it's also pretty big. You would think there's a lot of flex here. You would think there's a lot of bending or a lot of creaking, like there's no flexing here or anything like that. And there are actually videos out there that have tested the durability of this device, and it has passed with flying colors. The build quality on this device is really good, I think, at least in my opinion. Now, the one thing that Samsung did that made me really happy is the fact that they did away with the sort of textured lines here that you saw on the Tab S7 series, and they replaced them with nothing but smooth aluminum. I like this design choice a lot because it gives the device a pseudo soft feeling, which is important when you're holding a device of this size. Yeah, build quality, definitely a plus. Now, this next point actually technically could go along with build quality, but the point that I'm referring to is the quality, or rather the colors of the display. Now, each year Samsung comes out with a new device. I'm always pleasantly surprised when I see that they've made actual improvements within the quality of their AMOLED displays, which I guess kind of doesn't make sense because Samsung has poured so much money into R&D to make these displays better, but this is one of those things that you have to see rather than hear about, but I can guarantee that at least 99% of the people who see this display on this device will be more than happy with it. I first noticed this in particular when I was looking at the pictures you're seeing on the screen here. I was comparing it to my Tab S7 Plus, and I noticed that, the difference, you could say it's significant, definitely significant enough to notice. And I'm glad that Samsung has continued making improvements to their AMOLED panels for sure. Now, this next point is neither good or bad, but just kind of something to be aware of. So this point is that the battery life is kind of questionable. I say questionable because the fact of the matter is that I do a ton of video editing on my tablets. I actually use my Tab S7 Plus single-handedly to create all of the videos you see on my YouTube channel. And one of the things I would notice is that I would go for hours on end, like let's say maybe 2 to 3 hour spurts where I would edit video on that device, and I would see the battery drop only about, I want to say 10-12%, whereas the battery on this, when I'm doing about the same exact time, seems to drop about 20%, I want to say. Now what you're seeing on the screen is just me using the tablet for about 2 hours and 4 minutes with screen on time, and the rest of it just idling here. And the tablet is now at 73%. I'm definitely sure that you could make it through the day on one single charge, but I'm actually a little surprised that you do, or you might potentially have to charge this a little bit more. And this could actually be because the software is not optimized. Maybe there's something running in the background that I'm not seeing. Maybe someone's not even having the same exact issue, I know I'm being a little nitpicky. I just wish, the optimization was there. I wish the battery life was there. And yeah, battery life is just questionable. I can't say it's bad. I can't say it's good. It's just questionable. Now, my next point is that the charge time is a little interesting. So right now I have the 25-watt Samsung charger connected to this device. And as you can see, it says 32 minutes until that's full. Now I know that's an approximation. It's probably not going to be precise in any shape or form. And this device does have a big battery. And this is a point I made in another video, the thing about having a bigger battery in a device is it all comes down to how power hungry the parts are. Now this is using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, and that's using the 4 nanometer process, which means they shrunk the transistor down that the processor lays on. I probably didn't say that right, but you get what I'm getting at. That should actually bring a lot of power efficiency. I don't know if I see that as of yet, and it could also be due to software optimization. But overall, I do think that this thing takes a little bit of time to charge, from 75% where it charged to in the time that I've been talking about this. I just expected it to charge a little bit faster. And this is probably why Samsung wants to sell you that 45-watt charger anyway. I do have a 65-watt charger laying around on the house, but I don't know if this device can ask for that much power from that particular charger because it's not a Samsung charger. Now, the next thing that stood out to me is that the processor on this device gets pretty hot if you're pushing it. So, like I said, I do a lot of video editing, which you can all see. And one thing that happens that's kind of weird is that when I am rendering a video, I render most of my stuff in 4K and some parts in like 1080p, depending on what it is. But most of my videos are in 4K, or at least I would hope they're in 4K. Depends on the device I'm using to record it. When it is rendering those videos, what happens is the top left over here gets pretty hot. Actually, right now, I can actually feel it getting warm. It's like right around here. Now, it's not that it's hot to the point where it's going to be a bother, but it is hot to the point where I'd be a little concerned if I kept it at that temperature, or I kept doing what I was doing at that point. And I did find this little test here. This thing is probably just an approximation also, but I did find this little CPU test here that should show what's going on. And the processor getting hot in a device, although in some cases it's normal, it's one of those things that worries me a little, because obviously if a part runs hot in your device, it's probably going to degrade your battery life to the point where you're not going to get the battery life you expect. Now, the only reason I'm talking about this is because with my Tab S7 Plus, I was doing literally 100% of the same things that I'm doing with this tablet that I was doing with my Tab S7 Plus. And when I was rendering those 4K videos, I never ever felt that Tab S7 Plus get hot at all. And I had the case on it, like I had that magnetic case that I have for this on it, but overall, yeah, the processor gets hot. It gets between hot and warm, I guess you could say. One of the things that people were worried about with this device before it came out is the fact that it was going to have a notch, and it does right here. As you can see, the bezel around here dips into that little part right there and goes right back up, and this is to house the two cameras here. Now, does this notch bother me at all? No, it does not. Honestly, this screen has so much real estate that it's something you really don't even notice, and Samsung did an okay job of keeping it subtle also. And for the tech you're getting in there, you know, you have the auto framing camera tech that's in there. I think it's going to be pretty worth it, especially since in this day and age, we are doing a lot more Zoom calls. Obviously, everybody's not doing that. But if you are doing something on your tablet where you need to be in focus, or you need to kind of move around the room and not want to move your tablet, yeah, I find the notch worth it to be there and for those cameras to be there. And it really does not bother me whatsoever. It's something that just kind of fades away. You know, you don't really see it at all. Next thing is that the keyboard, the official Samsung book cover keyboard, is a little bit of a mixed bag. In a way, I find it to be one of those things that's definitely good to have, and it kind of seems like a necessity in some cases because it does keep the form factor of the device extremely slim, but the execution I feel like could have always been better. And I said this with the Tab S7 Plus keyboard, I believe, or something to the effect, but you know, the keys here are not necessarily the problem. Like, I can type on this thing and there is no problems at all, but the issue I have is that there are these random glitches that continuously happen. Like, for one, if I don't have this thing flat on a desk, I'm basically going to run the risk of not being able to use this keyboard, this mouse. You know, like it doesn't work very well when it's not sitting flat on a desk. Also, another issue that I have is when I'm typing, when it's not on a desk, what happens is if I press, like it happens at random where if I'm typing something, like you'll see the keyboard. Let me see if I can actually get it to do it right now. So I couldn't get it to do it when I actually wanted it to happen, but here is another time it happened, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Notice how I am not even touching this keyboard and there seems to be some digital poltergeist within it. Now, I don't know if that is a software glitch. It seems like it could be because it does stop, or I don't know if that's a hardware glitch, but there was one firmware update for this keyboard that I got when I got the keyboard, and I'm hoping Samsung does another firmware update to address that issue if it's something that has been talked about. But overall, I don't know if I can completely recommend this keyboard, and I probably said that in the review I did on it, but it's one of those love and hate things, you know. It's there when you need it, and it really does keep the device very, very slim, you know. Here's the profile of the device, but I just wish Samsung would fix the underlying issues. And it seems like they have the same set of issues with every single generation of keyboard they release. There's also the fact that this thing is $349. However, I did see one on eBay for $129.99, but I got this for free. I would definitely not have this if I didn't get it for free. Now, one thing I do want to address is the fact that I continuously see reviews stating that this tablet is just too big to handle practically. And in this regard, I think it really comes down to perspective. So let me explain. I think it's pretty safe to say that laptops have gotten to the point where they can be pretty light and offer you a ton of power in a small package. But one of the things they don't get right a lot of the times is the balance between the size of the display, the depth, and the weight. So for instance, the Surface Pro 8, which is my actual laptop, is a device I truly appreciate in terms of its design. I think Microsoft made a lot of improvements to that design, and it was definitely more than time. But overall, the thing that I still recognize with that device is it's kind of heavy at 1.96 pounds versus the 1.60 pounds of the Tab S8 Ultra. Add the Surface type cover and you have a total of 2.61 pounds. The Tab S8 Ultra with its keyboard comes to 2.62 pounds. Now I know you're probably saying, but wait, the Tab S8 Ultra weighs more with its keyboard than it does on the Surface Pro. It's 0.1 more. Not that much of a difference, but probably around the same. Consider this though. The Surface Pro, like any other laptop with a full operating system, is one of those things you can use without a keyboard. But most of the time you'll find yourself wishing you had one if you try. The beauty about devices with mobile operating systems like Android and iOS is that they are made for finger-friendly interaction. Yes, they can use keyboards, but you truly don't have to. And think about this for a minute. Yes, the Surface Pro is one of those things that does not come with a keyboard, and neither does this. But like I mentioned before, if you take the keyboard off of a Surface Pro, have fun with that. Like, I can't do it very well. There's probably someone out there that's a pro at it. I just don't like Windows and touch typing. Just doesn't go together very well for me, personally. Now, in my case, 98% of the work and entertainment consumption I do is on my Tab S8 Ultra. The only thing I really do on my Surface Pro is create music and run virtual machines mostly. Now, compare this device to other light laptops like the MacBook Air or the LG Gram and even some other convertible laptops, and I think it's pretty safe to say that the S8 Ultra's form factor has some advantages, or a lot of advantages, as a device with a screen that's similar in size to most laptops on the market. I say this to say that I don't think it's too big at all. Sure, it's bigger than your average tablet, but if you own or are considering purchasing a laptop and don't necessarily need all of the power or intricacies that a full desktop operating system offers, then I think the Tab S8 Ultra is very close to the ideal in-between device that's going to allow you to get work done, consume media, while having a display that rivals that of a laptop. And consider this also. Most laptops don't have AMOLED screens. Now, I know some people are not fan of AMOLED screens, but overall, you are getting a really good display. And you could even go ahead and get a laptop that doesn't have the same high resolution display that this does. So there are a lot of points I could make about this, but overall, it's just the Tab S8 Ultra in and of itself is really that in-between device that you're going to get that can really do a lot of the work you want to do with it. So no, I don't think it's too big when you compare it to a laptop. But again, these are my opinions, and that's just a different perspective I wanted to offer. All right, so that kind of concludes this video, and I know that a lot of these points are probably things you may have already thought about this tablet. Hopefully some of these points were things that you didn't think about with this tablet, or just things you needed sort of confirmation on. But overall, I hope I've offered something that was worthwhile while looking at this video. So with that being said, have a great day, or have a great night, or even a great evening. I know evening comes before night, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.